What did it look like the last time you studied for a test? Did you spend hours rereading your notes? Maybe you quizzed your classmates on the material? Turns out there are actually proven methods for studying that can help you or a loved one learn more effectively and, get this, score better on the next big test. So to explain more, Dwayne Matthews, who's an education strategist, is with me in studio. Great to have you back.
Thank you for having me.
So this is like welcome news, I think, for everybody who has that big test coming up. When we do have those tests, most schools focus on what we have to learn, but not how we should be learning it. And you say that's just as important.
So I believe that that may be even more important. One of the things is as we go through this new era of content and information becoming a commodity, we're going to see that the human becomes more of the premium. So really learning how to learn becomes extremely important as so much information is coming all the way through. We really want to focus on how do we learn and learning how to learn.
Yeah, it's working smarter, not harder.
100%.
Right, okay, so you have a few scientifically proven methods that will help us study more effectively. First up, spaced repetition. What is this? How do you implement it?
So spaced repetition is an evidence-based technique, and what happens, it typically works with cue cards. So you introduce the new and hard stuff more frequently, and the old and easier stuff more infrequently. Now, you might have used cue cards before, and it's really hard to get that pacing, but because of digital technologies, we can do that now digitally. So I use, for example, my daughter uses Duolingo to learn how to read, and that uses spaced repetition. My son uses Quizlets for his exams, which also uses spaced repetition. I have two family members that are in medical school, and they actually use something called Anki to get them through their MCAT. So spaced repetition and flashcards are absolutely amazing, and there's decades and decades of evidence.
Okay, so that's this last app that we're seeing here, Showcase.
Yes.
Okay, very cool. How does the method, the Feynman method, did I say that correctly?
Yes, so the Feynman method, the best way to think about it is this. In the nighttime, my wife or myself, we read to my daughter, and we can go back into her room and we see that she's lined up all her stuffies, Uni the Unicorn and everyone else, and she's now reading to them. So Feynman is really taking in information and then teaching it to someone else, but actually simplifying that information and making it more and more simple, but making sure that you get all of the elements and going back over it. So the act of teaching someone else, when someone says, teach it to me like I'm a 5-year-old, is actually a proven technique to get you significantly better at understanding the information that you're dealing with.
What about this next method? It's called the memory mansion technique. What is that?
The memory mansion, I think, is really interesting. If you've ever seen Sherlock Holmes, you might have seen that Sherlock Holmes uses this. And what you do is you take the information, you visualize the information in different places that you are familiar with. So maybe a house or a route, you'll actually place it in your mind, in the bedroom, in the living room, and when you try to recall that space, you'll actually find the information in your imagination waiting for you. So this is a great technique, and I can see that with spatial computing coming on board, this is going to be a fantastic technique for people to remember longer term what they're trying to remember for school.
Last but not least, exercise and sleep play a really important role in learning and in retention. So how does that work?
So first we'll go with sleep. When we're learning, the brain, for some reason, remembers everything backwards. And when we go to sleep, it actually remembers it forward. So the more sleep we get, the better off. Second, with exercise, the part of the brain that has to do with learning is the hippocampus. When we exercise, it can actually increase the hippocampus by up to 2%. So those two things have a profound impact on learning. So with my youngest, what we do a lot of times in the morning, sometimes we might take her out in the morning just to go for a run before we get her to school. And that really helps with settling down and learning for the day.
My mind is blown with a lot of these tips. I hear what you're saying. I see how I've been applying a lot of them to what I do for my profession and how effective they'd be for kids. Dwayne, this is fascinating. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
And hey, good luck to anyone who's studying for a test out there. We got some good tips for you. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.